Coach 24, Darwin Penny. Though Darwin Penny is not here tonight, and I'll explain why he is not here tonight. And with my producer, Mr. DJ Scatter, George Walker, we are Any Given Sunday. And Mr. Walker, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing just fine this evening, just fine.
That is awesome. Well, we've got a lot of sports going on. And so I had said that Coach 24 is not here tonight. Well, tomorrow is him and his wife Maria's Tony Dorsett wedding anniversary. And yes, you're going Tony Dorsett. Tony Dorsett played for the Dallas Cowboys. He is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and his football number was number 33. So, saying that, the Pennies are celebrating their 33rd wedding anniversary, and they are doing it in style. They're celebrating. So, and unlike me last week where I did call in, he will not be calling in. He is spending time with the missus. It is all about the missus, and deservedly so. So let's get into this, and I am getting this all checked up. Ooh. Hold. And now you can hear the back voice of, there we go. Get it turned down. Okay. All right, Mrs. Mildred Walker, I see you. Thank you. And Tammy, thank you for watching. Now, we have we had some breaking news yesterday in the Kansas City area. Dayton Moore was let go as the manager, or as the GM and president of the Kansas City Royals. It was kind of a shock, but it was well needed. Dayton Moore has done an incredible job. He has been the general manager, president since 2006. He had led or helped lead the Royals to a World Series in 2014 and a championship in 2015, saying that they did not have a winning record from then on, going 7 years and having losing records. Now, 2016, we were actually, or the Royals were actually roughly 2 weeks in the playoff hunt up until this 2 weeks left in the season. But saying that, as I feel that this is something that needed to happen, and I am very, very glad it happened, I also have to commend Dayton Moore for everything that he has done. He had given Royals and Royals fans something to think about and something to cheer about, because before then, in 2006, roughly outside of 2004, we would have great players, and then they would go and they would still have losing records, and we were just really struggling, and we were having trouble identifying players that would come. So like Carlos Beltran, Johnny Damon, Jermaine Dye, even Zach Greinke, because he eventually got rid of him. But with that, the Greinke trade, I can't even talk right now. I don't know what's going on with me. Maybe I'm still in Vegas time. But anyway, he got rid of Greinke, but he brought in two great players, Lorenzo Cain and Celiz Escobar. And then he traded Will Myers and a couple of other players, and we got James Shield and Wade Davis. And Wade Davis became the best pitcher in baseball for roughly 3 years, and including 14 and 15 when the Royals were in the World Series. Now, Dayton Moore's record as a general manager was 1,126 and 1350. So, I mean, he was over 200 games under 500. And like I said, they didn't have a winning season after the World Series, and you would have thought that they would have at least tried to continue the winning after they had won the World Series in 2015, but it never happened, and it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. And as great of what he did, which he became the first general manager team to win a World Series as a small market team. Yes, Minnesota won in 87 and 91, but that was a long time ago before the salary caps and the big boys spending all that money. And we had the walkout and all that because it was small market versus big market. But we were the first small market team to win a World Series. In fact, we went back to back and was actually fighting for a possible playoff spot in 2016 when we finally struggled down the stretch. But I just want to thank Dayton Moore for everything he has done. But at the same time, this is a business. And John Sherman, when he bought this team in 2019, he really had his back up against the wall. He had COVID to deal with, so he wasn't getting a lot of money in for the COVID because no fans were coming out, and even when they were playing, nobody could come out and watch them play. And then the losing allowed the fans not to come out. I mean, when we were when we were playing for World Series and we were a winning team, hey, Kansas City was out and they were in droves, and everybody, that stadium was packed. But when you are losing, it doesn't matter anywhere. If you're not winning, you don't want to watch it. And it wasn't even, a lot of times it wasn't even a fun product. I mean, this year, I will admit, the young players were exciting and everything, but you wasn't winning. And you can't allow those kids to deal with that type of adversity. I mean, it's already rough enough to come up from the minor leagues and jump in major leagues and just totally thrive. Say like a Mike Trout or somebody or even George Brett. George Brett struggled a little bit, but at that time the Royals was not a They had losing records, but they were never in last place. They were never in last place until roughly the 2000s. So that they were in business 30-plus years before they even made it, took it in last place. And they've been constantly losing 100 games. And thank goodness that they have swept the Twins today they won the third game of the series, so they swept the Twins 3-0, and now all they have to do is win 2 games in the next week and a half, and that will keep them from losing 100 games. Last year they lost 100 games, and a lot of years in the 7 years they have lost in between 90 and 100 plus games. And this is a business of what have you done for me lately? Even Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, yeah, they are winning now, and everybody's going out to watch them. But if they start losing, you will see how the fans will turn on them, and they should. We have great fans, and we do support the Royals. I have been out there for a few games this year. There were still 12,000 fans today watching the game on a Thursday afternoon, and it was an overcast. It was a lot cooler, which was nice because it had been really, really hot. They had record highs, I believe, this past weekend when I was in Vegas. And the funny thing is when I came back from Vegas, it was actually warmer here than it was in Vegas, because Vegas was like roughly in between 88 and 92 degrees. And out here, it was like 92, but you have that humidity, which makes it even hotter. It puts it well over 100. So, but so today it was very, very mild day, but you still had 12,000 fans coming out to watch them. You are going to have the diehards making it out, but if you don't get the others to come out and support the team, it just makes it very, very difficult for them to make any money. And I applaud John Sherman for doing this because he is wanting a winning team. He said when he bought the team in 2019 that he wanted a winning team, and he is going to do whatever it took. And if he would have kept Dayton Moore, now, even if you would have just moved him up to the front office or something and put him in a position where, he had no involvement of the team, just put him in a position and let him there, that would have been okay. But he decided that it was time to separate from him. And I think he's going to start bringing in his own people. Saying that, now you got Mike Matheny, you have Cal Eldred, the pitching coach. Cal Eldred has been gravy training it for the last 3 or 4 years. Matheny came in on a bad situation, and he didn't make it any better. So those two guys need to go. And they need to start bringing in some players that will help and contribute with the Bobby Witts and the Melindas and Nick Prado and the Paus. Sometimes I can't even say his name. So, but bringing in all the young players. The young players are really exciting, and they have a lot of upside on them. The pitching has been the killer. We relied on Brad Keller, and he ended up having to go into the bullpen. Brady Singer he had to be sent down because he struggled so bad, but turned it around and made it a great year. In fact, he became our number one pitcher. Zach Greinke, he had moments where he was pitching well, but there was times where he looked like a 40-year-old pitcher. That he was past his prime a year or two. We have to bring in some players and start at least fighting to make the wild card. The Royals were in the wild card in 2014, and then they had that amazing game against the Oakland A's, and then they turned around and mowed everybody down all the way up to the World Series. Dayton Moore wanted a championship team. Well, sometimes you have to start a little lower than that, and let's just start getting an exciting team that will lead you to the playoffs. Just get into the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, then anybody has a chance, but you can't guarantee always bringing in a championship form team and have it ready. And so he tried to do what he duplicated, or he tried to duplicate what he did when he first began, when the Royals started performing well with Hosmer and Moustakas and Salvador Perez, which Salvador Perez is still the only player that's active right now that is still from the 2015 team. Yes, Alberto Mondesi is on the team, even though he's hurt, but he did play in the 2015 World Series. But we need to start moving forward, and this was the first step for John Sherman, and with that, I congratulate John Sherman for that. So that's enough with the baseball. But they have the final weekend, final 3 games of the season. So fans, go on out there. I believe they're playing either Detroit or Cleveland or something like that. I don't even remember. So let's see. Oh, it's the Seattle Mariners. So, but anyway, it's the last 3 games of the season. Go on out there and support them. But I am looking forward to seeing what they do in the offseason to try to improve this team and make it an exciting team that everybody wants to come out and watch. Now, we'll go with last Thursday night. The Chiefs played the Chargers. Chiefs struggled, but the Chargers are a really good team. Now, here's the thing. Chiefs came back. They did beat them. It took a defensive pick six, 100 yards from Watson, and he, helped the defense big time win that football game because the offense was stagnant for a while, and doing that really did help it. So the Chiefs are 2-0, the Chargers are 1-1, but now you've got the Raiders, who were supposed to be favored to do something in the AFC West, and the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are 1-1, and the Raiders are 1-1. Oh no, and the Raiders are 0-2. So the AFC West, which was considered to be the strongest strongest division in football, and I thought that too, but it is right now. I can't even say it's the strongest conference or strongest division in the conference. I would say more of the AFC East is a little bit more tougher than the AFC West. And you've got Nathaniel Hackett took over Brandon Staley's ability to coach and make decisions, which has led them to actually a 1-1 record. But they have played 2 of the weakest teams in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks, which is considered to be one of the worst teams in the NFC, and the Houston Texans, who are supposed to be one of the worst 2 or 3 teams in the AFC. And they struggled. They lost to Seattle. Russell Wilson didn't play great in that game. And then the Houston Texans almost walked into Mile High, which is usually a rough place to play in for an opponent, and nearly beat them. It took the Denver Broncos a second-half rush in order to beat them. And then you've got the Raiders, who, oh, my gosh, this was a bit. Yeah, I left Vegas Sunday morning. I would have loved to have left Vegas Monday morning just to see all the people jumping off buildings for the Raiders fans, because oh my gosh, when I was out there, the Raider fans were talking about how they were going to go to the Super Bowl. They were this, they were that, how awesome they were, and everything else, and how they blew that lead. It was amazing. So that game, the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins, and what was the other game? There was another game where the teams were 99% probability of winning the game, and they turned around and lost. And I'm trying to. It was the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. And here's the thing: the New York Giants was my bottom 5 NFL team, and right now they are undefeated. They are better than the Chargers. Record-wise, they're better than the Packers. They're better than the Cowboys. They're way better than the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 0-2 themselves. I mean, last year we saw how they came back and beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, and then they were one drive away from winning a Super Bowl, and now they have their backs up against the wall because they are 0-2. Now, I don't know how it is because it's a 17-game season, but when you had a 16-game season and you were 0-2, the chances of you making the playoffs was 12%. That is not a good percentage to to be in, and the Cincinnati Bengals are in that position right now, and they are going to play I've got to put on my glasses. They are playing the New York Jets. Now, usually you would say, okay, this is your chance to get your act together and come back. But I can't say that with the Jets. I mean, if the Jets came back in Cleveland, in the dog pound, and came back and scored 2 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes of the game, I believe it, from what I heard, it was a minute 33, and came back and beat the Cleveland Browns, I don't see Cincinnati coming back and beating them. And they supposed to revamp that offensive line. I mean, it was like the Kansas City Chiefs when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55, and they revamped that offensive line because it was so decimated and Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. Well, you thought Cincinnati did the exact same thing, and right now he had 13 sacks on him in 2 games, and that is the most, tied for the most since I believe it's 1990. And you would have wondered, where is this line at? And I don't care who you are, you get beat up and hit constantly over and over and over, you're not going to perform as well as you would like to. And you are going to get a little bit of nerves. You're going to throw a pass that's a little high, that's a little far, that's a little behind, instead of throwing it exactly where you are, because you're more worried about getting hit than you are worrying about just getting the ball to your skill players. Cincinnati has a great amount of skill players. I mean, you got Mixon, you have Chase, you have Higgins, you have Boyd. I mean, they have great offensive skill players, and if you can't get the ball to them, then you are in big trouble. So, and the defense hasn't played as well. I mean, they've played okay, but still, I mean, Cincinnati is in the hole. So so right now, you've got a couple of teams in the top. You got the Chiefs, which I have as my number 1 power ranking. I know a lot of people have got the Buffalo Bills because everybody thinks the Buffalo Bills is going to win. I do have Buffalo as number 2. I do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as 3, but right now, it doesn't matter. I mean, it is early in the season. Anything can change, but there has been a lot of games where the outcome has been totally so different than you would have expected. But that what makes NFL the NFL. I mean, everybody is watching it, and everybody's thinking, oh, my goodness. And to be honest, last week I went 10-6, and if they played 58 minutes of football instead of the 60 minutes of football, I'd be 16-0 because every game was like that. They were maybe the Pittsburgh and New England, because I did pick Pittsburgh, but New Orleans. That event out there, Jameson Winston decided to open up his turnover bakery again because, he was throwing the ball all over the place and giving it back to the other team. He's got Vinny Testaverde color blindness. But, you had Cleveland that lost at the last second. You had Cincinnati, who had actually an opportunity to win. You had Vegas, who had their opportunity and win. I had Baltimore. I had Cleveland. I'm just like, my goodness. You just cannot write a better story. Hollywood cannot write a better story for these things. But it is, I totally enjoy it. that's what makes it fun. So my predictions, I went 10-6, which wasn't too bad. Coach 24 went 9-7, so he was only one game behind. And the NFL Network guys, they all have at least 6 losses, not counting Sunday Night Football and Monday night, and the 2 Monday Night Football games. So I don't know their 3. Their 3 games for those. And I'm just looking here, and I forgot I had to add those. So actually, Coach 24 went 8-8 because I forgot to circle that Washington lost to the Detroit Lions. Now, I would say the most surprising win was the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it wasn't that they won, but they had won in the way they did. They were offensively sound, and they shut out the Indianapolis Colts, who I had as a favorite to win the AFC South division over the Tennessee Titans. And Tennessee Titans is another story about that. But right now, you've got Matty Ryan, who is playing like he is sitting on ice, just frozen as can be. And he couldn't hit a bloody elephant in a blizzard. And you've got them going, or at least they're at home, but you've got the Chiefs coming in, which is one of the best teams, and they hadn't really played anybody. I mean, they played Jacksonville, they played Houston. Arguably, they were one of the 2 worst teams in the NFL, and you tied one of them, and you got shut out by the other. Man, that is not looking good. And Frank Wright is a better coach than to have them doing that. And, you know, you got rid of Carson Wentz because you thought that he was the issue, which I believe that he was 90% of the reason why they fell apart at the end of the season. Now you bring in another quarterback who had a game where he was up 28-3 and lost it. So I'm not sure what to say about the Colts, but I'm telling you what, the Chiefs are going to win the game. If they lose, I'm going to be completely stunned. Which, the way this NFL season has gone so far, you could see that happening. But yeah, the Chiefs are playing well now. Willie Gay, he is suspended for 4 games with the incident with his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or baby mama or however you want to call that, his incident. And a lot of people go, well, why was it so severe? We can't understand why he did that. I don't know the exact stuff that happened, but all I know is that tempers flared, and usually, I hate to say it, the guy is going to get the bad end of the deal. So you have to realize, and you have a child that you're trying to raise, and if you're watching him, if he's watching all that happen, and that's not a good thing. So, but anyway, he's gone for 4 weeks. Out of this is probably the best time. You don't ever, it's never the best time, but think about it. They're playing Indianapolis. They're playing Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is not playing the greatest football. They struggled against New Orleans. It took Tom Brady to start up a melee to get things going for them to keep from going 1-1. Against a team that they had struggled with. Tom Brady hadn't even beaten New Orleans since he has played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, anyway, you've got. I'm trying to think. You're playing Vegas, and I think the other one is Buffalo. Buffalo is probably the one game that you got to worry about, but the Chiefs could easily be 5-0 going into that Buffalo game. Now, him gone for that game, yeah, that's going to hurt. But, you've got to sit it out. You can't dwell on it now. And so anyway, I think we're near halftime of the Any Given Sunday show. So we're going to take a break, and we will be back shortly. Oh. All right, and we're back to Any Given Sunday. We are in the second half of the show. Brian Kress, the awesome voice, with Coach 24 Darwin Penny, who is not here tonight. He's celebrating his wedding anniversary with his beautiful wife, Maria, and Mr. DJ Scatter George Walker behind the scenes, running the show, making sure that it is running smooth as a Lamborghini. So anyway, I will tell you something, Mr. Walker. What does something happened in the NFL this past Sunday that has not happened in 11 years? Do you have any idea what it is? In the NFL Sunday, something happened that has not happened since 2011.
A tie.
Nope. No, there's been ties.
Well,
there was a tie. There was a tie last week.
Okay, what was it?
The Jacksonville Jaguars, the New York Jets, and the Detroit Lions all won at the same time. That has not happened in 11 years. Now think about that. As parody as the NFL is, how amazing is that? 11 years that the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Jets, and the Lions all won at the same time.
Well, wait a minute. I don't see the significance in that record. I mean, there's 3 teams somewhere else that won at the same time.
No. The Jacksonville Jaguars since 2011, Jets since 2011, and the Detroit Lions since 2011 have not won in the same day since 2011.
think that's carrying statistics a little too far, you know.
I'm telling you, but that just tells you extremely how.
Wow.
I know it makes you think that, like I said, the parody of football. You are. What you think about stuff, you don't think about it, and then you sit back and you think about it, like, oh my gosh, really, 11 years. And here was the other thing: when the owner of the Jets or the Jacksonville Jaguars bought the team in 2012, he has spent a grand total of $1.6 billion in players. So for 10 years, all the players that he bought, brought to the team, everything, from Bortles to Fournette, you just keep going and going and going for 12 years. Spent $1.6 billion, and yet they still had the worst record in that time period. That is a lot of money for a lot of losing.
well, now that's an average of how much a year, though?
Well, that's let's see, 1 point. That would be like
100 million.
It'd be something like $160 million
a year.
$160 million a year that they have lost.
Well, but they just didn't win.
They had the worst record. It wasn't just that they were losing. They had the worst record. They were the 32nd ranked team between that time.
Who has spent less money in wins in that time?
That I don't know. All I know is that they spent $1.6 billion, and they were still the worst team in the NFL. Yeah. I'm just saying, that's still, I mean, not one team was worse than they were. And if you think about it, they made it to the AFC Championship game. In fact, they were 3.5 quarters, or they were a half a quarter away from playing in the Super Bowl.
That's not bad.
No, that's not bad. That's one season. So, yeah. And then they turned around. They gave Bortles that big contract, and then they got rid of him right after that. It's just, oh my gosh, you just can't. You just. Sometimes you think about that.
Any given Sunday.
Yes, absolutely. So tonight we have the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Cleveland. It's one of the oldest rivalries in the NFL. Obviously, the Bears and the Packers are the oldest, and they are playing, and they played last Sunday night, and Green Bay finally showed up a little bit and beat the Bears. Saying that, Aaron Rodgers is struggling, and he is really killing me because I've got him in my fantasy football league, and I've got a super slot in my or super reserve, something like that. Anyway, we are supposed to play 2 quarterbacks. Well, one of them is Patrick Mahomes. So he's gonna get me my points. But Aaron Rodgers, which actually won me a championship in my big money league a couple of years ago, is totally failing me. And I can't rely on my backup because it's Mac Jones from the Patriots. So I am frustrated here. So anyway, but you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and here's the thing: Pittsburgh Steelers are the bottom 10 in most offensive categories. And that is a rarity because usually, even if they don't have a great passing game, they have a great running game, and they can't do either one. And then you've got the Cleveland team, who is first in rushing offense, and then they are fourth in rush defense. So not only do they run the ball well, they stop the ball well. Except for obviously against the Jets in the last minute and 33 seconds. So, but anyway, Thursday Night Football, it will be playing in roughly about 30 minutes. on Amazon Prime. Do you have Amazon Prime?
No. No, I have not signed up for Amazon Prime yet.
No, I haven't.
What
either.
is that, about $19 a month? Or?
See, I don't know, but I know that you can get the TV part. Plus, you can order packages on Amazon Prime, which don't ever tell me about it because
and they deliver them the next day.
Yeah, they will, and more than likely, I will be delivering it the next day. So don't tell me about it because you want me in my doghouse. You just mention it. So, but anyway, actually, they had great results last week. In the game. Now I was in a hotel watching the game. At a Harrah's Hotel in Vegas. So they had it all over the place. I didn't have to worry about that. But they had 13 million people viewing it. And they said that it was a very positive aspect.
Oh, yes.
So
saw an article said it was even bigger than Prime Day.
Yep.
That it was their biggest day. Yep. So you're going to see more football on Amazon with that.
Absolutely.
They'll be looking for a Sunday night game or something pretty soon. That kind of outpouring, it just shows that there's still a market, even though the networks didn't think that those shows were still, drawing.
Right.
Because, Monday Night Football, they kind of cut it out, Thursday nights out. But from what Amazon just proved, and these are people paying to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The networks might be kicking themselves.
Right. Well, see, the thing of it is the Thursday night games and the Monday night games have been kind of lame. Usually you so-called get the Jacksonville New York Jets game. Nobody really wants to watch it. And so far you had the Buffalo Bills and the Rams. That was arguably a Super Bowl preview, and then you had the Chargers and the Chiefs, two of the best teams, not only in the AFC but in the AFC, the AFC
in the same
West.
division,
right?
Yes,
right. And had Herbert won, he would have been the only quarterback to have beaten Patrick Mahomes on the road or in Kansas City. So there was a lot going on. So there's a lot of intriguing. Well, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns. Even though Cleveland Browns I don't think is a very good team, and Pittsburgh is not the greatest, they still have the best coach and one of the best coaches in football. And it's still Pittsburgh versus Cleveland. It's the steel curtain versus the dog pound and everything else. So saying that, Coach 24 does have Pittsburgh winning tonight. Who do you have picking to win tonight?
Nobody.
You have nobody?
I have nobody.
Oh, they're going to tie then.
Yeah, it'll be a tie.
Oh, it's going to be a tie. So Mr. DJ Scatter says they're going to tie. I think that and Cleveland is a 4.5 point favorite, which I think that is a little high because I would take Pittsburgh in the points. And then they have, I think the over and under is 38. So you gambling people. So I know last week I didn't do any gambling or lines and who I would pick if I was betting and everything because I was in Vegas, so I wasn't able to sit down and totally analyze it and stuff. But Sunday morning when I do my NFL prediction show, I will get back to it and I will predict it. But there was a thing going, so you guys that have FanDuel or what other venue that you use to gamble, because now you can go into Kansas and you can bet on the games.
And you have to go into Kansas.
Yeah, you have to go into Kansas. You can't do it. We can't do it here because we're in Missouri. So if I'm doing it, I have to drive into Kansas, at least on state line, and then put it in. But saying that, they had a 4.5 point favorite for Cleveland. I would pick Pittsburgh and the points, minus 4.5 points. I would take Nick Chubb scoring a touchdown tonight. and there's 38 points in the game. A lot of people think that's going to go over. I would take the under. So I would go under 38. Now, if it is 38 even, then it's a draw, and I believe you would still lose in a parlay, that 3 parlay, because I just did the line for the Pittsburgh. So I would do the money, take Pittsburgh in the plus 4.5. I would take Nick Chubb to score a touchdown, and then I would take the 38 points, the over and under. I would take the under on that. So, and with that, I would say that the Pittsburgh Steelers will beat the Cleveland Browns by the score of 20-14, and that is my prediction for that show. And as you can see, I am wearing my Kevin Green Super Bowl 45 jersey from when he played in the Super Bowl in 45 and lost to the Green Bay Packers. Excuse me. So this is the jersey I picked because obviously I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers to win. And I'm going to start off with a good week, and then I'm going to have a better week in predicting these games. So please watch me on Sunday. And so if you guys have any questions, or if you guys are watching, 816-599-6893 is the phone number. You can give me a call right now and talk to me and see what you if you have any questions or anything else like that. So I am done with the NFL right now. Now I'm going to go into college. And I usually do not bring them up at all because I do not like them at all. But since they are part of the letters that is on this radio show, KU, and they are playing well this year, I will mention them. The Kansas Jayhawks are 3-0, and they are playing the Duke Blue Devils this week at Lawrence, at Memorial Stadium. So the winner will go 4-0. Now, let me tell you this. This is a first time in history, and I'm talking about in all the years of college football, roughly 125 years or 150 years. KU, Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky are all 3-0 for the first time together. Ever. So you're talking about basketball blue bloods, because every team that I mentioned, they are the prime. They're the prime guys when it comes to basketball. They're the guys that you usually pick to win the NCAA championship game in basketball. Never in football. That's the last thing you think about. But KU, Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky are 3-0 for the first time in NCAA history that they are 3-0 together. So that is just pretty awesome. So I have to give props to KU, and usually I don't because I am a big Mizzou fan. And yeah, that's the last thing I ever want to talk about is KU positively. So, actually, I am thinking about going to the Kansas soccer game, the girls soccer, because a good friend of mine who I've played football with and have been friends with since we were 8 years old, her daughter is a freshman on the KU team. And here's the ironic thing. She scored her first 2 goals like a week or two ago. And her parents, who have been to every game, they've gone on the road, they drove up to Iowa, they've gone to KU, they've done. they were gone when she scored. They were on a cruise going up to Alaska, so they could not make the game, and she scores 2 goals. So
you got to support your youngster.
Yes, you got to support them. Brian.
No
Brian
vacations in soccer season.
Yes, absolutely. So Sage Wimes, I congratulate you on your first 2 goals, and Brian Wimes, you're not going to make Father of the Year. So, but anyway, I'm going to try to make it out there Sunday and watch them play. I believe it's a Title IX. They have something to do with Title IX in the game. So I'm going to try to make it out there. And I never want to go out to KU for anything. I don't even want to go into Kansas for anything. It's got to be very, 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 very important. So that should tell you something if I'm going to try to make it to this game. So, but anyway, good luck to Kansas. They are playing tonight. I believe they're playing Oklahoma State. It is their Big 12 opener. And I believe Sunday they played TCU. So good luck to the Kansas soccer team, women's soccer team. And Sage, who is a freshman, is the starter. She has started. She didn't start the first game, which was like an exhibition, but from then on, she has been in the starting lineup. So she is an amazing woman, and we are going to try to get her and her father on the show sometime. I have talked with him, and he said that would be wonderful. So I am looking forward to that. So I think we got, 10 minutes left? What's the time?
Yeah, well, you got about 6.
6 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to do Penny for your thoughts for Darwin tonight. But first of all, I want to congratulate the Las Vegas Aces winning their WNBA title. It is the first for Vegas. And Coach Becky Hammond is the first person in WNBA history to win the title in the first season as head coach. Now, saying that, Van Chancellor won it in the very first season, which was 1997, but all the teams had first-year coaches in the WNBA, so that was an obvious. But this was one where she actually, as her first year coach, she won the title, and she was also an assistant coach to Greg Popovich in San Antonio, and then she played for the San Antonio squad before they became the Aces, and she played in the finals in 2008 with them, but they didn't win this one. But they did win this. Aja Jones, the WNBA's Player of the Year, finally won her first won her first title, which submits her to being one of the greatest because she has won multiple MVPs. Now she's got a title to go with it. So I just want to congratulate them. So my penny for my thoughts is I am congratulating a gentleman named Bob Stamps. He is a Royals usher who has been with the Royals for 50 years. So he has been an usher. Now he's an usher supervisor, but at the time he was obviously 24 years old. But he would, well, here's what this will tell you something. His first season was the final season at Municipal Stadium, which was at 22nd in Brooklyn. So, he's been doing it since before Royal Stadium, Kauffman Stadium, however you want to say, was built and established. So, I just want to say that he is, I want to congratulate him now. He's only missed a couple of games, which was on Friday nights in the fall, because he would officiate high school football games. So the only times that he ever missed was at that time, but he was doing something else. So it wasn't like that he was sick or whatever, but he had only missed those few games. So Bob Stamps, I know you're not, hopefully you're listening, but if you're not, I just still want to congratulate you. And it is an honor to mention you on our show. And so we are closing up another night of our show. Great show. It would have been. It would always be better with Coach 24 because, you know, we do well together. We work well, and we feed off each other in doing our show. So, but he's with his wife, which is truly deserved, and we will be golfing on Monday, so I will see him there. And Mr. Walker, fabulous! You did awesome behind the scenes, and even stepping in for him, speaking your piece or two with the tie of Pittsburgh and Cleveland. But I truly appreciate everybody who watched us tonight. And tell everybody, if you can try to share this, share it. You know, share it out there. And our show will just get better and better and better. I know I struggled the first week, but I got much better too. So, but with this, I'm going to say, be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a great weekend of football.